everybody. Today we're going to talk about solution-focused therapy. This is a short-term type of therapy where the social worker leads a client to achieve desired goals presented by the client. The client should do most of the talking during this type of therapy, and the social worker should help the client identify their own strengths and resources to help them find a solution. And most of the ways in which the social worker does this is through future-oriented questions. So in this type of therapy, the social worker should not emphasize the problems, but rather on the client's strengths and resources, like discussed. The social worker should lead the client into thinking about solutions rather than what led them to their office in the first place. So this type of therapy assumes that people have the desire and capability to change. Ultimately, the goals of this type of therapy is for the client to set attainable goals, identify when their issue or problems were not present, identify their own strengths and resources, and increase the frequency of positive thinking and behaviors. The social worker should always use future-oriented questions, like discussed before, and set the client's perspective on the issue. So we want to use the client's responses to formulate the next set of questions so it flows well. The social worker should not try to interpret, but rather acknowledge how difficult their problem is and how they can be able to, or how they've been able to cope with it thus far. During the assessment, the client should present their problem, and the social worker should ask rather soon in the assessment how motivated they are to change by using a scaling question. And the scaling questions are measured from 1 to 10, and 1 being not motivated at all and 10 being very motivated. So you'd ask a question from a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being not motivated and 10 being very motivated. How motivated are you to change? And you'll use scaling questions throughout your sessions with the client as well. The social worker should also be asking strengths reinforcing questions such as, how have you been able to manage the problem thus far? This will help the client identify their own strengths again. To help the client feel more in control, the social worker should also try to externalize the presenting problem. For example, instead of saying, how has stress affected you in your relationship with your husband? You could say, how has stress that has followed you for so long affected your relationship with your husband? During the intervention stage, the social worker should externalize explore the exceptions to the presenting problem. An example of this is, has there been a time when this problem was not present? Next, the social worker should encourage the client in developing their goals. They should be achievable and measurable, and a miracle question can be used to help explore some of these goals. And the miracle question is a little different and should be practiced by social workers before using it in practice with their clients. And a miracle question could go it can vary a tad, but it should go a little bit like this. Okay, Mary, when you leave today, you would say you go home or run your errands, go back to work, and then you go home and then you go to sleep. And during your sleep, your problem had vanished. When you wake up, you don't necessarily know that your problem has vanished right away, but instead you notice changes in your life. What sort of changes do you see? This will help the client think in a different way and explore some positive behaviors or positive actions, thinking in their life if their issue had just gone away. A client could say, you know what, I know that my problem went away because I felt happy to go to work. It helps the client to distract or think a little bit outside the box. So after the introduction of some of these strategies, an assignment called Formula First Session Talk should be given to the client. It could go a little bit like this. Between now and the next time we meet, I would like you to observe things happening in your life that you would like to continue. And then when you come back, we can talk about some of these good, positive behavior and thinkings. And then you can also give the client a surprise task. And the surprise task is when you ask the client to surprise somebody who has been, or surprise somebody in their life that knows that's connected to the problem somehow with something. Not necessarily a gift, but it can be an action, such as surprising a daughter with coming home and smiling instead of being grumpy. It could be something simple, but you should allow the client to come up with their own surprise task. Like I said, every session should include scaling questions, and after the first session, you should ask the client to measure the achievement of their goals using the scaling question. So it would go a little bit like this. It could be 1, not achieved my goal at all, and 10, I achieved my goal. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel that you achieved your goal? The client could say, you know what, on a scale from 1 to 10, I feel like a 5. I feel like I need some work to achieve my goal, but I feel like I made a little bit of progress. And then you would ask the client, what task can you do in order to get a 6 on that scale instead of a 5? And this will help the client come up with different tasks that they can do in order to reach their goal. Every session should also include the questions, what's better? What's going better in your life? And what needs to happen in order for these changes to continue? Of course, you want to keep them positive. What's better and what needs to happen in order for these changes to continue are all positive. So the intervention ends when the client thinks that they have reached or met their goal. And at this final session, the social worker should ask other questions that help the client to think in ways that they can maintain their goals. Like we know, most of us know, we always have obstacles, or there's going to be an obstacle that can prohibit us from reaching some goals. So it's good for the social worker to ask questions that help the client to think in other ways that can prepare them to meet some of these obstacles. Of course, it still points to positive behaviors and actions the client can continue to do. Next, I'm going to present a role play between a social worker and a woman who is having issues with work. She's not feeling all that great about her work environment. She's stressed, and she can tell that it's affecting her relationship with her daughter. And I have used some of these strategies, such as the miracle question, to help the client come up with their own solutions. I hope it helps to understand solution-focused therapy a little bit more. Thank you.